Ever find yourself waiting endlessly at a big box pharmacy, feeling like just another number? At Tablet Pharmacy, they provide the personalized service you deserve. They offer free delivery and blister packaging options to make managing your medications easier than ever. Check their competitive prices online at tabletpharmacy.ca.
Welcome, friends. I am Cindy Thompson, and this is a Resilience Project. This is a space where stories are shared and possibilities are discovered. I invite you to partner with me in cultivating resilience among humans, one conversation at a time. It truly is my pleasure to have Marj Busse here with us today. This particular episode may initially seem like a departure from the original vision of a resilience project, but in fact, I believe 100% that bringing the topic of coaching to this platform is very much in alignment with building resilience. I don't think it's possible to talk about building resilience without considering those of you out there who may have lost your jobs or have struggled in business during the pandemic. Many of you may not know what role coaching could have in personally and professionally helping you traverse this very challenging time in history. And this is exactly why I believe it is the perfect time to talk with Marj. With 18 years as executive coach, Marj has exceptional expertise in developing successful leaders. Aside from the busy life of wife, mother, and grandmother, she is also a master certified coach. Since 2001, Marj has been a lead faculty member with the Certified Executive Coaching Program at Royal Roads University. She is the master facilitator of Essential Impact's Accelerator Coaching System and co-author of the Accelerator Coaching Model. Growing up in a military family, Marj shares the wisdom and learnings from her father on resilience and how working with a coach could facilitate resilience. So Marj Busse, I'm so pleased to have you here today and to be able to talk a little bit about experience within adversity and resilience for you personally, how that has branched to your coaching career and developing a program that you deliver through Royal Roads University. We got a lot to cover, so why don't we jump in? When you think about resilience, when you think about your life experience and some of the seasons that you've been through, tell me what comes to mind for you in your life experiences that you might like to speak to?
Well, maybe I'll just say and teach about my life first. I was a military kid, born in Ottawa, lived in 6 provinces in 18 houses before I turned 18, and then became a West Coaster. Went to high school, got married. I'm just about at the 43 years of marriage.
Wow.
And have 5 kids. And then in-laws that are now I claim as my children too. So 9 total, and a whole whack of grandchildren, which is, I know it's not a contest, but I think I'm winning. I have 19.
That's a
and
lot.
20's on the way. Yeah. So when I think of resilience in that path, so just a little piece for me, I think that the first time I remember thinking about, I look at it now as resilience. At the time, I just felt like it was a learning moment from my dad. He was on his way to India for a year, doing some work through the military with the United Nations. And I literally remember in little Belleville, Ontario, the house, and I think I would have just turned 8 if I was already 8, like somewhere in the same month, that he said to me, "I'll be back when you're 9.
Yeah. Which at 8 would seem like forever.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's like you're going to be in a different grade, all that. And I remember him saying, just remember there's lots of good things that are going to happen. And so pick something and look forward to it and then enjoy it when it happens and then pick another thing. Yeah, as a little kid, I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And really feel like that, I think, set me on a pattern to do that. And my wonderful mother took us to Saskatchewan for a year to live with his parents in the same town so that we could get to know them and whatever and more. So I had the same attitude. So when I think about that as a mom myself and as a grandma, there was such modeling of, well, let's look forward to life. Like stuff happens and people go away. I mean, he came back, he's still alive, he's 89 and going strong. And that whole thing of, what do we focus on? And I love the quote, what we focus on increases. So do we spend our time with what is the icky, or do we spend our time with the positives and where we go from here? So that doesn't mean, I don't think that means that we don't deal with the past or deal with the situation. So I'm not saying that. It's not about being a Pollyanna. To me, it's more of what we spend our time focusing on. And I remember when I got interviewed by Big Sisters way back when I was 20 and I was going to join Big Sisters, who I have a lovely little sister who's been around now for also 43 years.
Very cool.
She's auntie. And it was interesting for them to hear my story as being a positive thing that I'd moved so much. And they didn't feel that they necessarily always heard it that way. And I said, because we were kind of told, get in the car. We get in the car. And guess where we're going now? And, I wonder what we're going to see and who we're going to meet and what new friends you're going to have. There was always that modeling of positiveness. And I learned, later in life that they weren't always as excited maybe as they appeared because it's work.
Yes.
But that was certainly a place they lived and shared with us that let's really think about it as what's the adventure? Where do we go from here?
So I can hear that sense of encouraging adaptability, knowing that it's hard to uproot our kids and move them. And I hear that from parents often worried about, will they be okay? And yet, when you look back on all those moves, what would you share with people now that worry about maybe one move with their kids and having to change schools?
I think what I learned, also through a little bit of counseling, I'll just be out there honest about that, and lots of coaching around it. I should say lots, but certainly some.
Sure.
Years ago, mostly. What I would share is the idea that I think the learning I got and what more the new generations of parenting and stuff know more is that my parents didn't really at the time know how to deal with maybe the sad stuff or the hard stuff because they never learned that from anywhere. Like nobody was teaching anybody that then. So in their minds, dealing with the positive was the best way to do that. And now I know that I would also bend down and hug a little one and say, this is going to be hard. And a little cry is all right. And I get that, you're going to miss your friends. And how can we mail them a letter, stuff to help work through your feelings and still have the side of all the wonderful things that we're going to have because of that. Like I think of all the absolutely fabulous memories and experiences and learnings I had being able to do that literally before I was 18, before I moved to the big city of Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's kind of the both pieces of that. So I don't think resilience just comes out of ignoring. That's not what I mean. So I think the modeling of that positive, but really dealing with, the hard, the sad, the challenging sides of that, and then helping them learn, how do I look forward? How do I find ways to be resilient, to be successful, to be connected in new places, where you move or that kind of thing. And I hear that, my own kids who've had to do moving and for, work or school. And I'm really pleased. Like I hear them really attending to that with their children. And it's lovely because I think then the kids respond in a way that everybody goes, okay, well, that was,
They got this.
that's right. They can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And often we do worry more, especially now, I think. We worry about our kids more and we worry about whether they're going to be okay. And so that's a lovely testimony to being a military family, needing to make as many moves as you did or being away from your dad that long.
Yeah.
But he gave you some tools very early on.
Yeah. Which was awesome.
And can you think of ways that continues to inform decisions today as you have to deal with adversity?
I would say yes. And I feel like one of the pieces maybe that I could add to that, which links to how I deal now that I haven't said yet, is my parents have a very deep faith. And I think that was transferred as well, that there's something bigger than all of us. Thank goodness I'm not in charge. I just want to say that. Some days I'd like more, but in the big scheme of things, not really want to be in charge. That's a little too much. And I think that me observing that as a child and then coming to my own faith, that certainly has helped me then continue some of that. It's going to sound bad, but maybe those moments that I say to myself, Marj, it's not all about you. Get over yourself. Like, stop it. and be able to say that there is resilience kind of comes also from that belief and feeling of there is hope, there is a bigger picture, and still be able to then now as a grandma, actually a great grandma too, which is very cool.
Wow.
That whole ability to say, what is out there that's the positive? And that doesn't mean I don't have days of, are you kidding? Yeah, get it.
Exactly.
Is this happening? Or not to that one again, or how do I support them? And so to me, it's really saying to myself, what is the positive in that? And not even always what is the growing and learning. And it is that too, but there's just also, how am I going to look at this? What am I going to look forward to? What piece of this is the good piece? And I guess, what are we learning out of that? And I don't think that has changed for me. And I have to do that little bit of internal talking some days. And some days it just comes because it is a pattern of what's the best part of this. And so right now, the COVID thing, not to attach it all to that, but, last year we had 35 people in the house for Christmas. And now it wasn't our turn this Christmas either. So I felt bad for the in-law parents. They didn't get them either. But to know that, okay, I can go on Zoom, I can call them, like, this is awesome that I'm not really just locked in my house myself, although I am that, and I have opportunities. So to focus on okay, what time are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? As opposed to just as awful.
Yeah. So you can hear that early learning has really shown up at many times in life, including even this past year where you've needed to adapt again. If you think about that sort of sense of shifting the reframe, is there anything else that's in your toolkit that you would say is really important to you as one of those skills you pull out when needed?
I think also having community. Our kids have grown up, we call it the village, that, as parents, we knew we couldn't be the be all and end all. We were going to try and do the best we could all the time, but that they really needed others. And I mean, that has shown up in our lives with our children in humongous ways. They probably all wouldn't be alive right now had they not had that. And I'm just so grateful for that. And I see them building their villages. I mean, they're hanging on to their own and they're building ones for their children. And so when I think of it that way, I think of even for me, the connections I have and the support from some of my family. I mean, they're all supportive, but I mean, some of those connections that are, siblings, 3 sisters, and, some of those support things, as well as some lovely, lovely, friends that, and often connected even through the, similar or same faith that helps with, we are in this together. I certainly believe that about the world. We are all in this together. And so how do we support each other, not only to be the best we can be, to be as healthy as we can be and have our well-beings be all of the pieces around spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, all of those pieces.
Yeah.
So I think the support, I would say, is huge.
I love that you brought that out because I do think that we are in a time where people move away from their families. They don't necessarily live close together. And there is a sense of independence that I have to just figure this out on my own. And yet we can access each other and support one another, just like you're saying.
Yes, I feel bad, I guess. I don't know the right word, but I feel maybe even sorry for people that for some reason, whether it's experience or upbringing or just that feel like they do need to go it alone. Because quite honestly, I know I couldn't have. I just know that. I'm a very loving, supportive husband. And, I think of people that either have that or don't have that, or single parents, or people that don't have a bunch of siblings. I just hope that they understand that being real and out there with people and connecting, and sometimes doesn't work with everybody. I really hope for them that support that helps them not feel like they have to do it alone. I don't think we're built that way. I don't think that's the intent.
I agree. So that's a great segue to start talking about some coaching. And so what was it that took you into coaching, first of all?
I have always had this thing in my head about supporting and helping others, just bent in Marj. And so I was doing different kinds of work that I felt was part of that, and doing work in leadership, mostly at an early age with teens and young adults, and supporting them in learning that kind of thing. I always say dragging kids up mountains and down rivers because it was in, a recreation sort of setting, which I loved outside. And so just kind of going through that, and then a little bit to mediation and conflict resolution, and helping teams sort of sort things out, how they could be more aligned and entwined and, in a positive way. And it never seemed to quite clunk for me. And then I started reading a little bit about coaching. So this would have been a little over 23 years ago or something. And all of a sudden I was, well, this sounds great because I don't have to know anything. I don't have to be the expert. I need to understand coaching and how to support someone else to find their own answer. Because to be honest, I think there was times when people would come to me and I felt the heaviness of they want an answer. And I was trying to be supportive. They knew that was a piece of it. I have some extra sisters that are people that time with that were, younger than I am. And, you're trying to help them kind of walk through their first years as adults. And I just often felt the heaviness of that. So when I saw coaching and then got some training in it, it just really felt lighter for me, and lots of fun and very humbling to be able to walk along with people as they're, trying to find their own answers and sorting out their own life. Because part of it is they're responsible for it. I'm not paying their bills. I'm not going to do their work or show up here, there, or whatever for them. So how do they figure out how to do that the way they want to? So I just found coaching to be such a delight in that sense, to be in service of others that way and not have to carry everything and let go of some of the heaviness of that. And I just love it. And as I said, the humbleness of some days of just hearing people's story and being able to support that just kind of feeds my soul, I guess.
Well, and that stood out for me as I got to know you last year as well, is just that sense of having such a big heart for people. And that seems to be a theme for you, that you feel things deeply. You really care about people deeply. So when you really are in that moment, you're wholeheartedly there and present.
Well, thank you for that. I try.
Yeah. As you learned about coaching, you now have also developed this Essential Impact program that's delivered through Royal Roads University. And now you get to teach coaching to others so that you're creating this beautiful group of coaches that are coming out every year and being part of that team that helps support them in doing that.
Such an honor to be able to be there doing that. Yeah.
Let's just spend a few minutes on 2020 and what you saw in the area of organizations, business, and what they needed to do to pivot, to change course, to adapt. That has been really difficult for many people, not only individually, but in their work and in their business. Can you think of some examples where you've worked with others to work through that challenge?
Yeah, I mean, a big challenge, right? And so many people doing stuff virtually that they've never had to before. And we've actually had several coaches in different organizations already doing some work. And then when the pandemic happened, they said, they're starting to notice, as well as myself, the things that people are struggling with. And part of that is, how do I help my team long distance? I have a new job. I don't even know these people. How do I onboard? How do I? And what I love about coaching is it feels like that same village, in the sense that now work, if I can call it that, it doesn't feel like that easily, but you have work that you're in doing the same thing. I'm supporting you to find your own answer. And so I feel like, well, I just know this by what people have said, it's very helpful and has been as people felt isolated and sorting through new things, and just having somebody to discuss that with and be able to say, as I said before, ain't it awful? But as one of my business partners says, Carolyn, she's like, and we don't want to get stuck in the isn't it awful coaching. Like, that's not where we stay. that doesn't mean we can't go there and touch on that. But how do we then get out of that to the place of, and now what are we going to do about it? And sometimes that's just to be heard. Sometimes that's just those moments of, can I help somebody just feel heard, and they then go and figure it out? Or is it now that I can help them sort out, well, what are the actions, and what is the clarity you need? I really feel that the coaching has really been helpful and supportive to people inside organizations. I mean, one of the things we do is we take our program also into organizations as well as railroads, but into organizations. And those people that have come back and added those skills to their leadership have also said they've noticed that. They said, thank goodness I knew, some coaching tools and skills, because that was crucial in just hearing people that have hit a wall. The world hit a wall. What happened? And just being able to be in the moment with them, and then be able to be that thinking partner and walk alongside them to say, and now what? And now how do we? And maybe it's build resilience. Maybe it's, I don't have any, don't even know what it is. Or maybe it's to tap back into what they already knew. Or maybe it's to say, okay, don't forget about that. They're like, yeah, I got this. I just needed a moment. And so that part's really cool.
Well, and it makes me think about similar to the toolkit you got as a younger person and how that informed you in some of the challenges that you would have faced moving through your life. What people have had to experience in this past year, they have not felt equipped for, because we've never dealt with this before. And so if you don't have that toolkit inside of you, then you need to figure out what that's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of a crisis, in the middle of major shifts and changes, it's difficult to pick that up in a quick, efficient way. So by having a coach, what I take from that is it's lonely at the top. It's lonely to be in that leadership role and needing to protect your team so that they are not panicked, or for leaders to have to communicate to their team all kinds of shifts that are happening, and to support that leader in having to make those decisions, but also to then have the capacity to help their teams.
Totally. Well said. Thank you for that, Cindy. And so that piece that I think is such a gift, to have somebody absolutely 100% in your corner. So what's different, because people might be listening that don't necessarily know coaching and might be saying, I have good friends, I got good siblings, I have a great spouse, all that stuff. Good partners in my business, good partners at home, all of those pieces. One of the fundamental differences to me in coaching that is huge is I don't have an agenda when I'm with this person. And even though I try really hard to listen and I'm trying to be attentive to my husband, I have an agenda often when he's talking about something he wants to do. It's just different, right? So that's what I love about coaching, is that, you know what? That doesn't mean I'm not going to poke at you or say, really, how does that make sense to you? So there's that part of it too, in a nice pinchy way. But there is that piece of, I'm right here alongside you. We are going to walk together in this, and you're going to figure it out, and you're going to be accountable and responsible and all those things with it. And I'm here to just be that person that helps you sort it out and make sense basically of your own thinking. And to me, in this crazy that we've had, it has been huge for, as you said, it's lonely at the top. Who do they say that to without freaking everybody out?
Yeah.
And so, to run around the sky is falling is not helpful. And so how do they sort out what they want to do or say, and then go and talk to other people? And that leadership can be at many levels in an organization.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that it's okay that we haven't got all figured out. It's okay that we don't know the answer. And it goes back to that radical interdependence, that asking for help is okay. And, sometimes I think people, don't know what coaching is and how it can be helpful, but also that sense of pride. Like, I don't want to be perceived as not knowing how to do this. What if people hear that I've needed to hire a coach and not sure how to handle this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gone into many places where maybe somebody, they don't know what you're there for at the front desk, because other people have not said out loud, they don't want anybody to know, like you said, who you are or what. Yeah, I remember going into a doctor's in the School of Medicine one time, and they said, "Oh, Dr. Busse," and I thought, "Nope, not me." But I think they thought, well, it just says you in the thing, so you must be a doctor coming in to talk to that doctor that's department. And it was like, I just smiled and said, "I'm a couple minutes early, but whenever." And I thought, I'm not busting anybody here. So, but I kind of want to tell you a story. It attaches resilience to coaching, and we don't think about it often. We think about big organizations. We do a lot of give back in the not-for-profit world. And so because nobody's handing them a big fist of money. So we have partnered with many of them and said, you can come to our programs and stuff. And how do we do that? And support them in coaching to help them learn those leadership tools. There's a place called Mission Possible on the downtown east side of Vancouver, poorest part of Canada. And they've talked about the difference. One of their used to be counselors, now coaches, said that when they are working with people that they're trying to get back into the workplace. So these are people that have been living on the streets for a long time, and then they've come back and they're taking courses and stuff. And then they get connected, and the workers have now learned coaching. And they say, we used to set up 7 meetings after some of these classes to help in a one-on-one way to get them back into the work. That was just part of the process. Yeah. And they said often the person would come to maybe one of them, sometimes 2. And they said now consistently they show up for 5 of those sessions once they started doing coaching. Wow. Because they said it is so cool. Now talk about people that are trying to be resilient in the world. Something has happened, it's gone sideways. And I always figure there, but the grace of God go I, who knows? And they said, they come in with such a feeling and leave with such a feeling of, I got this, and confident, and I've had this person in my corner walking alongside me that is not telling me what to do, but helping me be that person that has a knowing of myself and what I'm capable of, and maybe a little encouragement and nudging, but really being able to walk out feeling confident because I figured out the answer, not that they've told me something. I have to go and somehow, execute that. And so they're just thrilled. We're thrilled. It's, the Union Gospel Mission does the same. There's just so many places that I feel really blessed and humbled and lucky, and whatever the right word is, to have been able to support them in having that, because I look at that and I think, wow, the resilience in the people that they're working with. And that's what we want in the world, right? Not that hand out, it's that hand up. And to me, the fact that coaching can support that, and not just in a place where, there's nothing wrong with this, but we say, good, now they can make millions more because they've figured out how to deal with their team. And like I said, nothing wrong with that. And also, though, it's connecting to some of the most vulnerable for various reasons. And that just, warms my heart that coaching can connect in that way too.
Well, and that sounds so rewarding. Like even as you talked about that, the listeners can't see your face when you tell it, but I get the privilege of seeing Marj's face as she explains that story and the sense of reward that comes from, not only helping those that are at some level in an organization high up, have earned their right to be there, but also those that are just struggling day to day to make ends meet, to get a job, to develop those habits they need and have the support around them. And so that's another way that coaching can be helpful.
Totally. And think of even just those new managers. They're trying to learn. None of us have been through something the first time we do it. Because it's not just, well, if it happens, it happens. I think that we need to be radical about it. I think we need to say, let's go, let's do this, let's get on this. Because live better, be better, work better, then we all live better, be better, work better.
Yeah.
To me, there's huge value in all of that. And we kind of laugh in our family because many of our children are credentialed coaches. I remember my daughter-in-law when she first took her first course. She was actually the first one to do it. And she said, I kind of like this coaching culture family thing. I said, well, okay, well, we're not all good at that. And she said, no, I like this. She said, I want more of it. That's why I want to come and learn some coaching. So, and when I think of them, they're in organizations now supporting people that are like them in their 30s and trying to say, okay, I'm new at this. as the pandemic is. Nobody was in this pandemic like this before. That's a
Yes.
worldwide now. So the fact that they can support and the resilience of others is wonderful in my mind too.
Yeah, I bet. I appreciate you sharing that story. And I guess I can't help but ask, what have you learned about yourself in your coaching career?
It's funny that it makes me emotional, but you know me, so I'm kind of that person. But
I love that about you.
thank you. I don't always. I think what I would say is that I don't know everything, and that was a good thing. I think I was a lot more arrogant in my 20s and 30s. I can help you. I can do this. I can tell you that. I know it came from a positive intent, but I'm kind of horrified. I think of the advice I gave people. I'm like, oh, yeah, I did not say that out loud. So I think what I've learned about myself is it's okay not to know. And even in a new situation myself, yeah, it's okay. Give yourself a break. Like, it's okay that you don't know. And how are you going to figure it out or learn or know it? Do you need to know it? I think that kind of comes a little bit. I really struggled in school. I have some learning challenges. So it's kind of a joke now that I teach at a university. But anyway,
I love that.
you know, I mean, some of my elementary school teachers be like, did she even get out of elementary school? So I think that was a piece of it that I was trying so hard to know and kind of keep up or catch up or whatever, that probably as a young adult also was like, I need to do this. And I love that in coaching, what I learned is everybody that I'm in the room with coaching, first of all, is smarter than me. And that's okay. They're smart in their life. They run things that I think, I have no idea what you do. Oh, wow, you do it every day? You run this pulp and paper, conglomerate? Like, I love that. It's okay. I don't need to know everything. And I feel like that is what coaching helped me learn. And that some of my best situations that I feel like I've been who I want to be is when somebody is dying or struggling with something huge. Amazingly enough, I'm not necessarily emotional with them. I've been asked, come to this doctor's appointment with me, because some of my best value is in a good listening and good question that I ask. That advice is like, beat it, throw it away. It's not necessarily the best thing I have to offer anybody.
I love that. That's a great piece to identify, because what people may not realize in the coaching that you teach is really about listening to what's being said and what's not being said, and reading between the lines and really hearing that person. And one of the things that stood out for me early on in the program was, where do you really feel listened to? Where do you really feel seen, heard, and understood? And I'm sure many people in the class really struggled to think about the last time they really felt heard. And so I can hear the importance of, that's what you bring as a coach, is a listening partner, a thinking partner, and a presence that is really hard to come by in our day-to-day family life or friend life. And you're blessed if you can find that. But this is a unique role that many people may not understand about what coaching brings. I love that you've been able to tie that all together, Marj, in the way that real life teaches us, and the importance of having people around us in community, but also then in our work life and in helping others, to say, how can we come together and have a connection and support one another? And coaching is just one way, one skill set that people can access. And that's why I thought it would be helpful to have you on the podcast to really exemplify that, to bring out that passion that you have about coaching.
Well, thank you, Cindy. And if we're going to talk about, for a second, you being in class at Royal Roads, at grad school, like I love, like you said, when we get that opportunity, and I remember your lovely smiling face and great questions and just leaning into the learning, which I so value and appreciate and kind of align with. But I love that you commented on that. I think most of us in the world don't stop and think about the value of listening. We listen to get something done, as opposed to just the value of, I just want to sit here and listen. I just it's huge for them. As you said, we call it seen, heard, and understood, which is not anything to do with agreeing. And I think that's sometimes what we get caught in. Oh, but if I listen too long, they're going to think I agree. No, you can deal with that part after. But right now, just those moments of seen, heard, and understood, which to me is so valuable as human beings. And I see and hear that with the grandkids and the grandkids and the siblings. And that doesn't mean you always stop and listen. But boy, those moments of that is absolutely huge for our well-being.
Yes. Well, that's a great spot to land on, just really helping people to understand what coaching can bring, but also as just another tool out there for people. When we think about resilience and not having to be so independent, that there are people out there that are trained to be a support when we need to. And we have people in our personal lives, or whether it might be counseling that people need to look for.
Sure.
But coaching is just another source, right? That I wanted to be able to help people to see the benefits that would bring.
Yeah.
I think since adding coaching to my toolkit, if you will, it does feel like a different energy, and it's so empowering to just support others, and in a way that really does tap into their own inner wisdom. And I've been thinking about it lately, kind of like that oyster with a pearl, and just allowing that very seasoned pearl to come to the surface and to honor what it took to get there.
Totally. And I love that you said it's another tool in the tool belt. I have appreciated lots of other things in my life: mentoring, counseling, friendship, parenting, and coaching is another tool. And I so appreciate when we have that opportunity to decide and which one in this moment. And that's one of the reasons I love that you came to class, because, I don't know you as a counselor, but I know you as a fabulous coach.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Marj. And thank you for being here and taking some time out of your day.
Well, thank you, Cindy.
When you listen to Marj talk about what it's like to be a coach, can't you just feel her excitement? Hearing from the number of moves Marj and her family made as she was growing, I can only imagine the resilience muscles she would have developed in having to meet new friends, adjust to different schools, and learn to navigate each new community. Isn't it interesting that she remembers her dad's advice as a very young girl of just pick something and look forward to it? Once that event has happened, pick something else. This has a bit of a mindfulness feel to it. What do you think? Marj also spoke of looking for the good pieces in each situation. Although we can't always see the learning in those moments, perhaps you can just search for those little shining aspects of each challenge. Having recently taken the graduate certificate in executive coaching program designed by Marj and her team, you can't possibly come out of this program and not experience a shift in who you are. It is in discovering the pure joy of walking alongside others to remember who they are and rediscover their gifts. It's also building on the strengths already there inside of each person. We don't have to navigate these challenges alone. When you hire a coach, it is not because of what they can do for you. It is paying for the life you want to create. With a thinking partner to challenge and support you, you are committing to the change you want to see. As Marj suggested, unlike your friends and family members, when you work with a coach, you have someone 100% in your corner with no agenda. Who is in your corner today? In what way can you grow your village over this year coming up? What aspects of your life or career are you planning to tackle? If you can envision the life you want, you can also create that life that you want. Remember, what we focus on increases. What have you been focusing on lately? Thank you for listening to this episode of A Resilience Project. We would not be doing this podcast without you. If you or someone you know has an inspirational story or is helping to build resilience in their community, please email me at cindy@aresilienceproject.com. In fact, email me either way. I would love to hear from you. Also, check out my website, aresilienceproject.com, to meet the amazing people who have joined me on these podcasts. Last but not least, a big thank you to Doris Media House for their editing support. As you go about your week, I invite you to think about one way you can continue to grow your resilience muscle. What is one thing you can start doing today? See you next week.
Ever find yourself waiting endlessly at a big box pharmacy, feeling like just another number? At Tablet Pharmacy, they provide the personalized service you deserve. They offer free delivery and blister packaging options to make managing your medications easier than ever. Check their competitive prices online at tabletpharmacy.ca